So this is the second video lecture. In the first video lecture we have learnt a theorem that a free module over an integral domain is torsion free. So here we are somehow trying to look at the converse of this statement. So the converse will be that there will be something which is torsion free over a PID, but we know that the module Q, which is a Z module, is torsion free, and we also know that this Q is not a free Z module. So one thing is clear, that the converse of the previous theorem is not true. Now what we should add to this more conditions so that we have some sort of converse here. So two things. We have a theorem which says that a finitely generated torsion free module over a PID is free. So what we are adding? We are adding this finitely generated, as well as instead of an integral domain we now have a principal ideal domain. So how the proof goes? Take R to be a PID and M is a torsion free R module. X be a finite set of generators of M because it is finitely generated. So it has a finite set of generators. We are calling that set of generators as X. Now because this module is torsion free, so every element of M is linearly independent. This can be shown very easily. If Xi is an element in X and Rxi is 0, this directly implies that R is 0 because it is torsion free. So each Xi in X is linearly independent, and let S be the maximal linearly independent set in X. So you have vectors, elements of the module x1, x2, xk, such that r1 x1 plus r2 x2 plus rk xk is 0 implies each ri is 0, and you cannot have any k plus 1 or more elements like this. So if n is the submodule which is generated by this maximal linearly independent set, so n is the module generated by this S, then n is a free R module with this S. Look here, it generates n and all its elements are linearly independent. So this S becomes a basis of the module n. Now there is a computation which says like this, that if y is an element of X which is outside S, then you will find elements in R, Ry, R1, Rk, not all 0, such that this sum is 0. Why? Because otherwise you will have a set containing y, x1, xk, which properly contain this S. So that is not true. Whenever you have anything more than k elements, they are bound to be linearly dependent. So you have some Ry, some R1, some Rk ring elements such that this sum is 0. Here in particular this Ry cannot be 0, because if this Ry is 0, then you will have this part equal to 0, and this equal to 0 will mean that each Ri is 0. So that doesn't make any sense. So we write that this Ry is non-zero, and I've written here that this contradicts the maximality of S. So corresponding to every y which is in X outside S, we have a non-zero element Ry such that Ry into y belongs to N. How this goes? Because you have this implies that this equal minus of this. And because x1, xk generate N, so Ryy belongs to N. So to each X in X, we have an element of the ring which is non-zero such that AXX belong to N. So take the product of all such AX corresponding to every X in X. I write this element here as A. So let A be the product of all such elements AX. Each AX is non-zero. There are only finitely many elements in X. So this is a finite product of non-zero element. You are working in a PID. So this product of non-zero element is non-zero. So A is non-zero, like this. After this, define a mapping from M to N by that it takes every element X to the element X. So clearly, what is the image of this? First of all, we show that this is a R module homomorphism. This is easy because f x plus y is a times x plus y, which is ax plus ay, which gives me fx plus fy. So addition is preserved, and f of rx for any ring element R in R is a times rx. We are having commutativity here. So this is arx, which is rax, which is r times ax, giving us this. So this is a R module homomorphism, and by the first isomorphism theorem, we have that M factored by its kernel is isomorphic to the image. Now what's the image? Image is A times M. So this image is AM. What's the kernel? Now kernel means all those elements in M such that AX is 0. But because the module is torsion free, whenever AX is 0, A has to be 0. So X has to be 0 because A is non-zero. This implies that kernel is 0. So what we get, that M is isomorphic to AM, and we have written here that AM is contained in M. Okay, so this part is this. So M is isomorphic to a submodule of a free module, so M is also free. Well, this is the proof. I would like you to go through the proof once again. I end the second lecture here.